These are wall touches with a bounce. The athlete's going to bounce in position on both feet, but one leg is going to tick up and reach toward the wall. In this case, you want to have the athlete use the hip of the leg that's bouncing on the ground to lift the other hip as high as possible to reach as far as possible. Okay. These are lateral bounces. You can set hurdles out for kind of a marker point so they know what to reach for, but they're going to go up and down the hurdles. You're going to lead with the near leg to the hurdle, and again, you're working on the hip tip of reaching up and working that hip as high as you can. The bounce puts a little more pressure on that lateral chain. Same drill as before, but now we're adding a weight over the top to put even more pressure on the glute med in that whole lateral sling. Make sure the athlete stays as tall as they can, reaches with the hip and reaches with their head, and extends as much as they can. Now we're doing a forward skip over the hurdles, where athletes going to try and keep their foot on each side of the line and use their hips to step over. It's almost like you're wading through really high water or a swamp. Again, posture is key, keeping your chest up as high as possible, and posture intact the entire time. And it's natural to hit the hurdles. This will be the same drill as before, but now with the stick on shoulders. Try not to let the stick move and really force the hips to rotate as you step around. Focusing on posture and no rotation. Now putting even more pressure on the hips, we're going to take a weighted stick, hold it overhead, and do the same drill. Now we're going to increase the difficulty of the exercise by increasing the speed or the frequency that they go through this, so they'll come with a little more speed and see how fast they can come through the hurdles. This will put even more pressure on the hips. Same drill, but now we have weight overhead, and as your athletes will see, it'll even be more difficult. Now we're going for distance. Hurdles will be expanded out, and now you really have to make the most out of your skip. It'll put a tremendous amount of pressure on the hips. Now, added with the distance, we'll put a stick overhead, and they'll go through for even more pressure on the lateral chain. Next drill is high knees with the skip. The athlete will bounce while one leg pops up, putting a lot of pressure on the hip. Now to make the exercise more difficult, we'll go stick overhead, a weighted stick overhead, and do the same thing. Again, focusing on hip lift. Get the swing leg hip as high as possible. Of a single leg skip. Athletes can get some speed going and overextenuate one side doing all the work, and the other side is just kind of a kickstand or a come along. Again, the leg that's doing the work is going to drive up, the knee's going to drive up high with a good recovery, as well as the foot that's on the ground. You're going to work on keeping that hip up high. So the trail leg or the dribble leg is going to be the one that's going to try and hold that hip high on the run. Now athletes will put a PVC pipe on their back, and this will try not to let the stick rotate. and that will force the foot to come off the ground faster and help drive the athlete to the big toe. Now we're going to add halos to the skip. This will really throw the body off and force you to find proper foot placement and get you to push a little bit harder. Again, this is going to teach the body where to put the leg, put the foot. This is a high knee step down. So athletes can start in a perfect position and they're going to scissor legs as they reach for the ground. And the goal is when that foot hits the ground, the opposite hip comes as high as possible. So it's a hip workout. Good. Knee higher. Okay. Now the athlete has a 25-pound weight over their head. Same drill. Be a ton of pressure on the hip. And he'll switch sides and do the other side. And then you can see how high his hips look.
Oh.
Oops.